All right, we're back with this beginning segment of a piece. We've got about, what is that, a minute and a half of content. What would be kind of cool is now that we have a nice little beginning section here, even though I'm not totally sold on the synth here yet, it would be kind of neat to go in and see if we can add any color just to make things a little bit interesting. Because right now I don't say it's boring, but it's very simple and it could stand to be more interesting. So let's just listen to the first part here. Something shimmery in the background would be kind of neat. I wonder if I've got anything like that. We'll just mute that entirely. I almost kind of like that as it is. One thing we could do here is just extend this out a little. Okay. Let's have this extend into the next segment a little bit. I don't almost want to have that go through the whole thing. What would be kind of neat is if that just faded out over these first two chords right here. So let's just leave it as is. I always do the fading and the mixing. That always comes last when it comes to fade ins and fade out, because then I can't just adjust the volume freely, because then you have little bits and pieces that are locked in. So we'll leave that for now, and let's see if we've got anything that's kind of shimmery, but I think we can get rid of that. I am pretty confident I'm not going to use that. So I know that there are some interesting things in Logic. So let's just see if we can't find anything kind of, let's see here. It's kind of fun. That's what that sounds like, actually. It's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. I want to say it's almost a little spacey, but just for shits and giggles. Man. It's like creepy. I'm almost getting Subnautica vibes. Let's just see what that sounds like. Why do I like that? It's actually kind of a cool texture. Why the fuck not? Let's just do it. Let's do it. I'm kind of sold, actually. And there's no wrong. There's nothing. There's no wrong answer here. It's just what sounds cool. That's literally what this is all about. Let's see if it changes at all with different octaves. It's actually kind of cool. Let's keep it. We can always get rid of it later, but it's kind of neat. I can't lie about that. So what I always do, if I kind of like something that I got, but I want to stay in the same plugin, then I'll just duplicate the track and go from there. So let's just see what some of this other stuff sounds like. Nope. That might be a little too creepy, but let's just see. Oh yeah, no way. Not a chance. Nope. Wait, what was that? It's kind of cool too. What does that sound like with this? Let's see. Maybe not right away. I just realized I wasn't recording any of that, but I'm gonna do it because I actually kind of like it. So it's like this nice show. It's like we talked about shimmery earlier, so this is kind of shimmery, and it fits. So let's just do it, just for fun. Who knew a scale could be so useful? Imagine that. That's kind of cool. I like that. Let's leave that in there for now. So now this whole beginning part is just a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to save that. Now let's just see what we could get away with here after all this. I don't like spending... When I have something cool like this, I try not to spend too much time on it unless I really want to keep adding stuff. Because one trap that you can get into is just continuously adding more and more layers. Excuse me, when in fact, ideally, you don't have a whole lot going on at the beginning, and then you have somewhere to go. So, with that being said, let's move on to the next part. So, we talked earlier about wanting to have something with a little bit more movement. So if I just start playing from here, it works perfectly, that little this fluttering away track. So after that, so we're in the key of D. So we could do some something like that for a little bit, and that's moving more. So then it feels like it's starting to move forward a little bit more, and we're going somewhere with it. And then we can use that next section to lead into perhaps the climax of the piece or another segment that's kind of like this part. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and that's kind of the fun part. But it's like I said earlier, I really have no idea where any of this is going to go when I sit down and start. So let's just record some stuff. Maybe they'll have some wrong notes, but that's fine. That's part of the fun. Okay, that's something to get us started. That's quite a bit. That's geez, that's like a minute worth of stuff. So that gives us a nice little bit of time to kind of build, and then perhaps after that part, we could go here back to this idea. But for now, let's just see what we can come up with here. The whole idea of these, the cinematic meditation tracks that I have, they're kind of fun because, to be honest, it's been a while for me since I've really actively written. I did it a lot in college. It's actually music composition is what my degree is in, but I did so much of it in college that by the time I graduated, I just couldn't even think about it anymore. So I've been kind of brushing the dust off of my composition chops, if you will, for the past year or so. And these tracks, these cinematic meditations tracks, are kind of an easy way for me to get back into it because they're generally pretty simple. I don't typically have a lot going on, but it's kind of nice because I can take a simple idea and then just kind of expand upon it simply. And then hopefully, as time goes on, I get back into the more complicated stuff that I was doing before. There's another track I'm working on I can show you guys in another video, but for now, let's just see what we can do with this. Might be a little heavy for that early, but so maybe if we use these. Oops. So the reason I have it going so long on this one chord is because to me, the new phrase there starts at bar 39 right here. And this segment of 4 bars here at the beginning gives us a little bit of time to establish what the texture is going to start out as in this portion here. So why don't we just start with this? So there's where the phrase is. Again, nice and simple for now. I'm not in a rush to do anything. So then maybe we do this. All right. It's a good start. So just for the sake of smoothness, what I'm going to do, so that's 25. So one thing I like to do, if I'm holding the same note and I want something to flow together, I'll just connect them like this. So then there was no gap there. So it just kind of keeps going. And it's a string instrument, so let's be somewhat realistic that they could just sustain. You know, if it was a brass instrument, we might have a little moment of breath there. One thing I always tried to do with these samples was make them sound as realistic as possible and try to make them do things that, you know, I have this keyboard next to me. I can play as many notes as I want. And I'm kind of doing it over here. But we'll just say we have a real big violin section. So it's not completely unrealistic. It's not something that they couldn't play. But that's kind of the key to making this stuff sound realistic, at least when it comes to sampled instruments like strings or brass or what have you. So maybe this is a point here where we revisit that old melody. You know. You get the idea. Let me just record it. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that for now. One thing that is fun though is So in Strings Diamond here, they have done a phenomenal job of when playing lines like that. They've recorded some samples and they take forever to load, even on this machine, where you can really hear the notes. Like, so if I was playing that line, you'd hear them slurring into one another, and it's really, really cool. So I'm actually going to load that up and just see if that sounds any better. And it's probably going to take a second. All right. So you can hear just in those two notes, you can hear they kind of slur into the next note really nicely. So maybe if I just scooch that down, this might sound a little better. So So you wouldn't have that dramatic of a. That's a little better. We can go back and fix that stuff later. So the question is where do we go from there? Let's just do that. I know which one it is. So that's nice and sweeping. You can see that's got a real nice sweep to it, which I really like. That basically I feel like I have LA Phil in my computer here, which is kind of fun. So that's a good start. Now the question is what do we add to that? What's this? Oh, that's Opus. We already know we don't like this, so why don't we just go in and load up something different? So how about some brass? That sounds fun. Solo French horn is my favorite. Okay, so go to the player. Ah, that's cool. That definitely has verb on it. So one of my favorite things to double is cello and French horn. You hear it a lot in big sweeping film scores, big sweeping old compositions, especially from the Romantic era. So let's just do that so we know what that is. And let's just screw around with it, see what it sounds like. That's a lot. So maybe, what if we did that? Then I'll actually be able to hear what I'm doing. I won't need as much down here. Okay, I think that's a little heavy for this early, but we've got it, and we can definitely use it later. So I'm gonna leave that in there. This I think is a synth. So here's where we can start having fun playing with layers and adding more as the piece progresses. So I like the velocity that this was playing, kind of how I had that set up with the mod wheel. So this is kind of where I like to just go in and make some small edits as I go on thinking about it. So I think when it starts, it should be right around this 85 mark. So what I'm going to do is, let's move that there. And then we can just have it do that. Okay, so that should probably be, let's get rid of this. How about that? That'll work for now. Definitely a good spot to go into that other section that we did earlier, the 100%. We'll do that. So, I don't know. Do we like this for now? Let's listen to it. Let's listen to the whole thing. Oh, we just did. We know what it sounds like. Because this whole part right here is like a minute long, it should definitely have some more elements added to keep things interesting. The cello is playing the melody, and it does increase in both volume and kind of how the notes are being played. The mod wheel in this instance is controlling how, I guess, how hard the articulation is. So, for example, if I come in here, that's why I always record a drop. You know, like if you look here, I always record a little movement on the mod wheel just to kind of establish where I want to get it started, as far as where the articulation is. But you can hear, so if I come in here and let's see here, there we go. So you can hear it's real quiet. But it's the mod wheel controls basically how hard the note's being played, how lush it is, if you will, which is one of the reasons I really like this, the Hollywood strings. We can maybe come back to that in a second and add some more. We'll keep the starting point here simple with this. Let's just record the next part of piano. So the next part, let's do something. Oh, that's a lot. Something like that. Let's see. Let's go back and listen to this part again. Okay. Yeah. And we'll keep this part recording a little bit higher up on the piano. That seems like long enough for that. We can go, there was one note I didn't like, one sour note. I think it was that. Yeah, there it goes. Kind of cool. Start with that. All right, we can join these two up. This might be a little thick, if you will. That's a lot of notes being played by one instrument track, implying a lot of violins are playing this at once, so it's not completely realistic. However, what I liked was how it sounded. So what we can do is we can take some of these notes and play them elsewhere and then get rid of them up here just to make a little bit more room so there's not too much all at once. It's fun to add layers, but at some point it does sound too heavy, or it might sound too heavy. So then you kind of have to decide where you want things to happen. So if you're trying to establish, for example, a major minor, we'll just do C. If I just play open fifths, that's a lot of notes, but all I need is one. I just need one little tiny note on the third to establish it. So if I do it the other way around. Just one. That's all it takes. Point being is that's a lot of third in here, right here. So that's a lot. So maybe we don't need that a whole lot. But we'll just leave it for now. We can come back to it later. So definitely we need something on the lower end in there because the cello is almost what does this sound like? Or we could just keep it simple and these strings. Hold off on the synth for a little bit. Something like that, you know, and then we'll have something else take over playing the melody. Not sure how I feel about this up at this octave for that part. So let's just try this real quick. Let's just see what this sounds like. Not sure how I feel about that. All right, here's what I think is what we should do. I'm gonna play the whole thing back and give it a listen. Sometimes that's kind of a nice step back, and then you can take a look at everything from above, if you will, and you get a better feel for where you want things to go. So let's just play the whole thing back. Get rid of the click. This shipwrecks thing cracks me up, but it's cool. I'm actually really happy with this whole beginning part. So far, so good. I'm not sold on any of this starting at 55. So here's what I'm going to do. We will come back to it later. We've got a good bit of stuff done already, and I'm really pretty happy with everything that's happening in at least the first half. I like that we have a nice little lead in and that it kind of picks up speed, if you will. There's more going on here that's driving things forward more than back here. So we're in a good spot to continue from here for sure. So I think for now, I'm going to call it, and we'll come back to it later. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what sorts of things you want me to cover. I try to talk when I'm thinking about a process, but not too much when I'm like improvising, trying to find a sound that I like. But let me know what you guys like in the comments below, and we'll see you on the next one.